Former Oregon member of the House of Representatives and current talk show host on X-Ray FM here in Portland, Jefferson Smith drops by to talk about what we can learn from Oregon's vote-by-mail efforts. Thom Hartmann here with you. On the line with us is our buddy Jefferson Smith. He is the host and a talk show host over on X-Ray FM here in Portland, the progressive radio station, 91.1 FM in the city of Portland, and also the co-owner of the station. He helped start it. xray.fm is the website, and you can tweet him at Jefferson D. Smith. Jefferson, great to have you with us, and when you're not filling in for me, one of the things I mentioned in the setup, or in my tease that you were coming up, was that you were a member of the legislature of this state. You were a member of the House of Representatives in the state of Oregon for some time, and so you're in a position to really understand how vote by mail came about in Oregon, how well it's working, what the general sense is about it. Tell us about vote by mail in Oregon, particularly for people who may not be Oregon residents who are listening to. Sure. In the first hour, I shared this thing from FreedomWorks that I got that says, Nancy Pelosi and the radical left are hell-bent on stealing the 2020 election. This isn't just the Democrats. Liberal extremists like Michelle Obama, Rita Wilson, and Tom Hanks support this too. The entire DNC and establishment knows if they can get vote by mail passed, it'll lead to massive voter fraud and help them win in November. So what do you think?
Well, first of all, let me just say thank you for keeping doing your show every day, keeping some degree of pro-democracy rhythm in our lives. Just really appreciate it, Tom. It's great to hear your voice. And yeah, did serve in the legislature, and prior to that, maybe even more aptly, worked as a democracy activist, right? We built the bus project and worked to engage young people in democracy, and vote by mail played a pretty big role. A little bit about the origin. Yeah, there are a lot of people, any success has 1,000 mothers. But this is something that started because one human being, who I can't remember if she was a postal worker, I think she worked actually in the clerk's office, the elections office. She said, you know what? We could save a bunch of money. We could save like $3 million if we instituted vote by mail. And, there's always budget problems in the state. So what if we did that? She pitched it to a legislator, and the legislator put it in. The Secretary of State at the time, Phil Keisling, likes the idea. Senator Mark Hatfield, Republican from Oregon, likes the idea. The League of Women Voters liked the idea. League of Conservation Voters liked the idea. A bunch of people piled on, and eventually, in phases, it happened. In fact, my first vote, the first vote I cast as just a person, was the last election in Oregon that was at polling places, and just before we moved to all vote by mail. And this is something, and let me just take a crack at what you were saying. I was listening to the show at that point, and yet now only anti-democracy advocates would be against vote by mail. Now, vote by mail I don't think is enough. You also have voting centers. You also want to make sure you have automatic voter registration. Those are the things to do. But there has not been any data to demonstrate that vote by mail gains advantages, where I was looking for, one party over another. In fact, in Oregon, now district drawing, that matters a lot. You can do a lot of rigging of legislative districts by rigging legislative districts. But just by giving more people to vote, no, that has not been demonstrated to have a partisan advantage or disadvantage one way or another. In fact, right now, you got like 80+% support in Oregon, including 76% of Republicans supporting vote by mail in Oregon. This is something that people like. When they do it, they like it. The elected officials, Republicans and Democrats, they also tend to like it. It is really only the anti-democracy activist who doesn't like it.
All right. Yeah. Well, FreedomWorks, was originally funded by the Kochs, so. Or at least a good chunk of it, so that shouldn't surprise us, I suppose.
No, and we saw it, and you've talked about Nancy McLean's book, Democracy in Chains, right? Mm-hmm. We know what's going on in the country. But what I want to do is give 3 ways, not because Oregon's so special, but because we've been lucky. 3 ways that I think that the country should learn from Oregon at this time in history. And we already did that first one. I really think this is the time for historic change on vote by mail, and I hope a lot of listeners are pushing their legislators and pushing their mayors and governors to institute something like it.